Yeah, John?
All right.
All right. Pausing for Matt. All right, welcome everybody. It's time for the remote script. Here we go. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access the meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of all members. My name is Ted Barker Hook. I'm the chair of the Zoning Advisory Committee. For others, please respond with present if you are on the call. Mary Larson Marlowe.
Present.
Ron Foisey.
Present.
Arnold Cohen.
Here.
Kristen Borzamato. No. Chandrasekhar.
Present.
You know, it rolls off my tongue until the very moment I have to say it, and then I stumble. Rachel Rawson. No. Sam Sater.
Present.
Curtis Smithson.
Present.
Vic Proddy.
Present.
And staff John Gelsich.
Present.
Wonderful. As I always do when we go to the agenda, I'm going to take the bottom item and move it to the top. Was everyone able to read the minutes from January 17th? Does anybody have any corrections or suggestions to it? No? I have one, and it may seem really ticky-tack, John. It still says agenda on the minutes, right at the top. And maybe that needs to be shifted. And I think that was all I had. I did notice that we were supposed to have this meeting before February 5th. We missed that by a week and a half, but according to the minutes, that was the plan. The other question I have, John, is we tabled the minutes from November, I want to say 15th last time, but it is not on the agenda for tonight to vote on those. Can we vote on those, or is that against the rules because it wasn't posted on the agenda?
No, we got to put them on the next agenda.
Okay. So if we have no other comments on the minutes of January 17th, can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
And there's a second, and we'll do a roll call vote. Where did I lost my, there it is. Mary.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Madhu.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Vic.
Yes.
And Ted is also a yes. What we're going to go to, and I do see that Gary Trendle's here. Hi, Gary. We're going to move on to, hopefully, for our part at least, as the Zoning Advisory Committee, putting the MBTA communities stuff to a rest. We have not formally voted to move it along to the planning board. I don't know. I know we have Vic here, who's been on the planning board during their meetings, and Gary is here. I've watched most, if not all, of the parts of the meetings that deal with the MBTA communities. And what I've seen is, by a very wide margin, they're pretty happy with what we put together, both the map and the bylaw itself. There was some discussion about a couple different things. But again, I think by a straw poll vote, the planning board was almost unanimous in liking what we put before them. I do have a question or two first for John before we go further. Looking back at my notes from last meeting, there were two items, and maybe you and Emily talked about them with the planning board, and we don't have to do anything. But the two items in my notes were confer with Emily about the water resource protection overlay and whether we're in a good place with that. That was one of Emily's initial concerns. And then the other was a question about affordable housing, whether we are going to be rounding down or rounding up and what the Commonwealth would allow. Did we get answers to those? And maybe you've discussed with the planning board?
Yes. So before we do that, can I just ask a couple questions? Because I was typing the minutes and writing an email. Who made the motion for the minutes?
I think
Mary did. There's her hand.
Mary. And who seconded?
Rob.
I'm sorry?
I
Who
did,
said-
Rob.
Ron.
Ron did.
All right. And then did Curtis recuse himself or no?
I haven't yet, but I will now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Just I've got notes in my minutes, so I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything accurate.
Trying to
Okay.
figure out when to interject that.
I should have slowed down for you, Curtis. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. All right. So the WR pod, Emily and I looked into it a little bit more. And there is that distinction between WR pod and WR pod 1. WR pod 1, which covers most of the town and would cover both of the districts, allows for the development of residential without any special permit. So we've both determined that that does not apply to any of the development, proposed developments. And the affordable housing, we didn't get a real good answer from the state. So we put new language in there, which you might want to take a look at. And it basically says affordable units round up to the nearest whole number. And then like another sentence that says, unless the state finds that that is not allowable, and then the next section will apply, and it's the round down language. And Emily said that that would be appropriate.
And a roundup is what we currently have in place.
Correct.
Okay. All right, great. Any questions or comments on those two issues from the Zoning Advisory Committee? No. Gary, before I say anything else, is there anything you want to add, or are you just listening in at this point?
No, I guess the only thing that I'd say, and maybe I've said this on the planning board calls, but I would just want to commend this group for, I think, doing a really, really great job with the proposal. And as you all know, it's tough to strike that balance between, complying and supporting the intent of the bylaw, while also, just being conscious of impact to the town. And just, I think what you put together is thoughtful, it's in line, it's sensitive to a lot of different needs. And, I'll just tell you, I, for one, am really honored to be behind it. So great work to the team, and no other comments from me.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks. Okay. Since our last meeting, has anyone done more thinking on any aspects of the bylaw that they want to bring up for discussion, or do people feel comfortable with the most recent mailing that John sent out?
Would you
Mr.
like me
Chair?
to share that and just go through? Or
I'm sorry?
would you like me to share the document on the screen or?
Sure, to hit on the most recent edits? Sure.
I make a comment or two before we get started. I
I don't know. Are you allowed to after recusing? I don't know how that works.
just informational. I call the Southborough Public Works. So we talked about utilities and intergovernmental agreements and, possibilities for this northern area. Southborough has no sewer, so there wouldn't be any other connection. It'd have to be an on-site. I talked to Dave Del Torrio a little bit today, and the downtown district is sewer available. This area is going to have its own private system. And as far as water goes, he said if the MWRA ever came up 85, that they would probably drop off some connections for the neighborhoods along the way. So just more informational than anything else. I know we discussed utilities and sewer requirements and whatever last time.
Yep. Thank you. John, are you pulling up the?
I'm trying to make sure I have the correct version.
Oh, okay. I feel like we need some, oh, here we go. I was going to say we need some music, some hold music.
Got a mandolin behind you there.
So through the chair, I'll just go through the
Please
changes
do.
since you all have seen it last. So I took the red line out. So everything that was deleted has been deleted. And that is mostly in the decision or definitions. And then we added maximum height from a comment from one of the residents. It just said height and all the other ones had maximum or minimum. So that just clarified that. Made all the changes that were suggested at the last ZAC meeting. And let me pull up the affordable housing. So we did this language allowing for the roundup. And then it says in the event that the EOHLC says that that calculation above does not comply with the provisions, this will. And this is the language of the rounding down.
That's page 11.
Correct. 10 into 11. You can just
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And again, that was with Emily's suggestion that that would be fine.
Correct.
Great. And then otherwise, is it just updating the numbers to make sure that they all align correctly? That's where all the green highlights are.
The green highlights are just in the future. So this is what we
Okay.
assume the section numbers are going to be, but when town
Okay.
council gets their hands on it, they're going to actually put the real numbers in. I just want to make sure that we knew where all of those were so we don't lose track of them.
Okay. Okay, John, when we vote to pass along, is one vote going to be for the map and the bylaw together, or do you recommend two different votes?
I would recommend one vote because the bylaw references the parcels in the map. So if you did them separately, that kind of makes them a separate thing, but they really are together.
Okay. All right, then here's what maybe I'll ask. Given this last overlook at the bylaw, does anybody have any final comments, questions? We're not voting yet because we're going to look at the map in a moment, I hope. But does anyone have anything left with the bylaw, the wording, any of it?
I support it as is.
Great. I do too. I just want to make sure that the door is open. There was a thumbs up from Sam. Okay. John, could we just have one more look at the map so that everyone is fully refreshed on what we have put aside for the overlay?
And I may change the map slightly. And I'll explain how.
Okay.
So since this is going to be a zoning map, we will likely take the background off. So the green and the blue will all come off.
Okay.
Because that may confuse it. And these little annotations with the densities will come off and the arrows will come off. And then
Okay.
obviously the draft will come off. Everything else should remain the same. I have no issue with the rest of it. I just want to clean it up and make it as simple as possible for a zoning map.
I think that makes sense. And then, John, it may be unnecessary, but if you could just zoom us in and remind us what each of the shaded regions are. I just want to make sure that there's no doubt at all that people know what they're voting for.
So the
Or
upper,
against.
upper Cedar Street includes this parcel, and this parcel, and then the preserve parcel.
Of the east side, which one is Carboni's? Is it the
This
big
is our
building there?
building. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And then downtown, we have the post office parcel, the 3 house lots up here. This is A Street. So one lot back on the Cedar Street side 2 lots back, coming down Walcott, crossing over. This is the Parks and Rec building, Town Hall. Sorry, no, Town Hall's over here. Bill's, the Masonic Lodge, and the parcel behind the Masonic Lodge. You've got on this corner the gas station, some residential lots, Muffin House, and then this is the 2535 with the public parking lot that is not included.
Yep.
And then on this side, you've got CVS going all the way over to the fire station. And this is the gas station.
Great. Just out of curiosity, next to Hopkinton Gas there's a house that's used for offices. Is that zoned residential?
This?
It's right next to Hopkinton Gas.
Oh, sorry. On the other side.
Yeah.
These?
I don't
I'd
know.
have to look.
You zoomed in so much, I'm lost. No, yeah. So right, I wish I could point. Yes. Is that zoned residential? Even I know the building.
I have to look. Let me take a look real quick.
I'm just curious. I think there's a realtor in there. I think at least one of my kids went to a speech therapist in that building, I think. Maybe they both did. I can't remember now.
So it is downtown business.
Okay.
So let me share. This is that area. This is the downtown intersection.
Oh, okay.
And it would be these parcels here.
Yeah. Okay.
So everything within, with the exception of this top part, which looks like it cuts off 2 parcels, is within the downtown business district.
Okay. All right, great.
But a portion of both of these parcels is within the downtown business district.
Okay. With that, does anybody have any last comments or questions about the overlay? I think we discussed it a whole bunch, so I would be surprised, but I want to open the door. All right. Kristen, welcome. I see you've joined us. It's good to see your face. Before you jumped in.
I'm sorry I
no,
haven't
it's
been to any meetings. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I don't want you to feel like you have to apologize at all.
Okay.
I'm happy to see you, and I'm
nice
sure
to
everyone else is too.
meet you all. Hi.
I was talking to John ahead of time, and you are absolutely welcome to vote on whether we pass this along to the planning board officially or not. If you think that you have not kept up to speed enough, you're also welcome to abstain from the vote. Either way is just fine with John and me. Whatever you feel like makes the most sense for you is great.
Okay. I am not going to vote because I don't
Okay.
feel like I know enough. I'm sorry, but yeah.
So when I call your name, just abstain. That'll be fine. I'm going to still go through the roll call.
Okay.
All right. So I guess, can I get a motion to approve and pass along our MBTA work, both the bylaw and the map overlay, to the planning board?
Don't move.
And can I get a second? Oh, there was a second. Was that Vic?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote. A yes is to pass it along to the planning board. Mary,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Kristen,
Abstain.
Madhu,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Curtis has already recused himself, Vic,
Yes.
and Ted Barker Hook is also a yes. That's a unanimous vote to pass that along. And unless, John, there's something else we need to do with that issue, I think Zach is finished with that issue. Yes, that nod.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Zach is done with that issue. I will let you know that I've sent the package to the Attorney General's office, who is offering to do non-binding reviews. So hopefully we'll get a response from that. And then I intend on sending the package to the state for the full review next week. I was hoping to get Emily's report to include with it, but I don't know if I'm going to get that in time. So I'm just going to get it out and send that over later. So hopefully we'll have some feedback before town meeting.
Great. Before we move on to the next agenda item, and I don't know if we have anybody to discuss the next one, but I do want to ask members of ZAC to please, while we are done in our official capacity here, please talk to neighbors, talk to friends. John, at every planning board meeting I've been to, has said, please call me if you have any questions. It is really important in my mind that this passes at town meeting, and we have been a huge part of it, and we know more about it than a whole lot of other people in town. So try to be an ambassador for getting this done. It's a very, very important little bit of, I don't know if legislation is the right word, but governance. So please help out with that and talk to neighbors and answer questions, et cetera. John. Oh, what's that? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it. Anybody seen the fact that Milton voted against it? I think Tuesday in a special election,
Yeah.
or so. Yeah, that was. I think they're going to be the first ones to try the waters. And
I know that Milton was kind of leading the way in saying that we're not going to do this. As I remind people, I'm a high school teacher. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a governor. I think that's a foolish route to go. So hopefully we don't go in the same direction is my feeling.
It was. Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody would ever do that, and looks like they decided to. So
we'll see how that goes for.
Yeah, see how it plays out.
Yeah, the town meeting voted for it, but then when they had some special bylaw on the town that they were able to put it to a vote, a townwide vote. So.
Yeah. John, just as a reminder, we need a 50% plus one vote at town meeting to pass that, right? It's not a 2/3.
Correct.
Right. Okay, John, the next agenda item is South Street and Hayward, but I don't think I see anybody to present that issue.
Yeah, so just so everyone's aware, I'll just give a brief overview of what this is, and then we can move on. But for those of you who might remember from last town meeting, this was a citizen's petition to rezone the area over by Hayward Street for Marguerite Concrete that got voted down. They are now trying to go through the process that we normally go through for zoning changes. Scott Richardson is being the representative for the applicant. He was not able to attend tonight, though he had been asking for a meeting. So I told him this was when we were meeting. And then he asked the applicant if he could attend, and I received no other response. So we can just table it. They just wanted to introduce it and talk about it and talk to Zach, but it's not super rush.
We can also let them know, I think our next meeting ought to be our public forum meeting that we put off from October, and we can certainly invite them to that. That's exactly what a public forum meeting is about, I think, right? So I think that's what we'll do. I don't think there's anything else on our agenda. Does anybody have anything to add or to say?
Yeah, John, this is more again a technical questions coming back because I know that I was one of the voter last time when it was there driving this not to change from the Hayward Street, whatever the zoning change. How does I stand here when they come for this? Do I have to recluse myself because I'm the direct impacted party of this any change?
So just like Curtis today, this isn't a binding board. It's an advisory board. So you can recuse yourself. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that Zach is going to do is going to create a binding requirement on anybody. It's just a recommendation of the board. So if you want to potentially discuss this on, you're on the planning board too, so you might want to recuse yourself from that. But
right.
It's up to you. honestly.
So I can recuse myself, but I can still be a participant as a resident of Hopkinton, right? I can still put my word forward.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. So I just want to make sure that I have this.
That wasn't the firmest yes I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So okay.
Maybe we'll cross that bridge when the bridge presents itself.
Well, I'd rather start my groundwork.
Maybe, may I offer a little additional commentary?
100%.
Yes.
And I think maybe what John isn't saying is that it's much cleaner if you recuse yourself and don't participate. But if you do participate, then someone could interpret some attempt to bias depending on what you said, but it's kind of in that gray space. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but in general, it's cleaner to just recuse yourself and not make comments. But up to you if you choose to do otherwise.
I want to recuse myself because that would give me enough freedom to even whatever I did for the last time. That's all. That's all.
Anything else for tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
a question for John. I don't know if it's really on point for us, but I'm aware there was a decision in the land court where the land court, a developer had challenged a bylaw that required them to provide a certain, number of affordable housing. I don't know whether it was for subdivisions, might have been for that. Are you familiar with that decision at all, John?
So we had heard about it. I don't know if we've talked about it either internally or in planning groups since the actual decision came down. We just heard that it was going before land court. Has the ruling been handed down yet?
Yeah, the court said it wasn't legal, didn't have the authority to do it under the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, so we've heard about that, and we definitely need to get the state's opinion on that because the state has been pushing towns to include it in your zoning. Even in this, they write model bylaws that include affordable housing provisions. So
it'll probably be appealed, it's my guess, if it hasn't already.
Yeah.
What town was that in?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'd like to look for it. All right.
Yeah, I can.
All right.
I can send it to John, the decision to John.
Yeah, and then I can send it out. We can send
That
it
would be great. Thank you, Arnold and John. Is there anything else? John, there is a note for you in the chat. You don't have to read it or read it out loud, but there's a note for you in the chat I want you to notice.
From Sam?
Yes.
Yes, I responded.
Okay.
I said I will update those dates.
Okay. I didn't click for the response. Anyway, Is there anything else? This is yes, John.
Do we want to set the date of the forum? Or do you want me to reach out separately and do that?
No, I think we should set that. Thank you. I was thinking that very thing 5 minutes ago and I didn't bring it up. Yes, I would like to set the date for the forum. For myself, I'd love to not do it next week. I have a couple days off from school and I'd love to be able to relax. But the week after would work for me. We've been working on either Mondays or Wednesdays. What are your guys' thoughts? Both of those days are fine with me. A week and a half.
March 11th. Looks like March 11th is open.
What day of the week?
It's not next week or the week after, but planning board has some meetings in between.
Is that a Monday or a Wednesday?
That is a Monday, the 11th.
Monday, March 11th works for me. What do other folks think?
March 11th is fine with me, but it's on my calendar. So it's first night of Ramadan. I don't know if that matters for the scheduling.
I will be on the road to Arkansas, so.
It works for me.
We could do, so March 18th at the planning board. We could do March 25th if we want to do a Monday.
So I'll plead ignorant here. I know a bit what Ramadan is. I don't know if the first night is super significant versus the second, third, fourth. It is, after all, a month. And we don't want to wait for Ramadan to end. Does anybody know if the first night of Ramadan is especially significant?
I don't know.
I can look into it and see if we have any guidance on whether we should be holding public meetings that night, and then I
Okay.
can email the.
Thank you, John. That would be great. That would be great. All right, so you might pencil in Monday the 11th, Wednesday the 13th, but we'll wait and hear from John. Sound good?
Do we want to
Yes.
go with March 25th if March 11th doesn't work?
I don't go anywhere. I'm thinking, like, do I have a trip? No, I don't have a trip. I go no place. If I have a trip, it's to the movie theater in Framingham. I am fine with that date as well. I don't even know why I paused to consider if I'm available.
For me, it doesn't matter because
I think I could make it work. That week is quarterly planning at work, so it might be a busy week for us, but I think I can make it work in the evening. So
One truth about a public forum night is it's a pretty easy lift for us for a lot of it. We're having people bring us ideas. Maybe John and I will talk about diving into one or two on our own, but it's not a whole lot of homework from our end. All right. I'm not hearing anyone say no, John.
right. And Ted, I mean, next meeting when I come in, again, John, I can just say that I recuse myself or don't say no. I mean, how do I go about it? I know that the Hayward Street would come up. So,
Well, why don't we wait to make sure that they show up, and maybe you and John offline can kind of sort that out.
sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Works for
All
me.
right. Our blessedly short meeting is slowly bleeding into close to its 40th minute. Is there anything else? I do, after all, have a bag of work I got to get to, Ron. All right. So I think that we've given John a couple marching orders. John, do please try to remember, that sounds too scolding, I apologize, but to put the November 15th minutes on the next agenda. And the reason we put it off is people hadn't read it, I think. So if you guys just want to remind yourself what was on that agenda, that would be great. Or maybe even, John, resend it when you send out the next meeting packet. Okay. Can I get a motion to close the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Where's my roll call? Here we go. I'm going to start here. Kristen,
Yes. What do I say? Here?
you say yes. Yes is great.
Okay. Yes.
Madhu,
Yes.
Sam,
yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
and Ted is a yes. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.